Hello, it's Karen Ringmay here. In this video, we are going to be discussing the new Turks, and specifically why the new Turkish Scout Rush is ridiculously overpowered. I say this ironically when I say that the Turks are the new meta feudal civ for Arabia. So I'm not going to get into the details of the Turkish Scout Rush build. It's a generic Scout Rush. The Turks don't have any Dark Age Civ bonuses that would allow them to go up any more quickly, and in this video, this particular game, I think it's a 19 pop build with built deer and a little bit of idle time. It's just a generic Scout Rush. You got your Scout Cavalry with its bonus Pierce armor, and that's like what's really important and what makes Turkish Scout Rushing ridiculously overpowered, but that's something that really is unimportant until you get up to feudal, and in Dark Age, Turks don't really have an eco bonus since you shouldn't be mining gold yet at this point. Because of that, I'm going to be using this time to discuss some of the other things that have been going on with this channel. So, like you may have noticed, that it's been pretty much exclusively Age of Empires content ever since I came back for the third time now. I don't even know what my hiatus schedule has been looking like, because it's obviously been more of a hiatus schedule than it has been a... whatever you call it. So, Age of Empires 3 is content that I really do want to be looking at, and I was really hoping that Age of Empires 3 Definitive Edition would actually be an introduction between me and the actual AoE3 meta, but at this point, from what I've heard, AoE 3DE is just an absolute piece of crap, and I mean, I want to try it out. I really want to have an excuse to do something with it, but I'm not going to lay down the money for it on my own until I'm convinced that it is an actual working product. And not right now. So that's AoE 3 out the window. For Surviv, their last update actually has started to convince me that Congregate's taking a step in the right direction, but I don't think I'm going to be doing any Surviv content for a while either. So you're stuck with me in Age of Empires 2, though I might do the thing that literally every single watched up YouTuber ever does and start doing some content with Among Us. I know I'm late to the party, I don't care. I might be doing some content with Among Us if I can't think of any AoE2 stuff to do. It's tough. I started this YouTube channel because I wanted to be doing content for all of the games that I like, because I feel like that there's just not enough there aren't enough content creators out there who take the time and effort to make themselves a name in multiple communities. And to be fair, I kind of understand why, because if I'm half of my audience comes here for the Surviv content and the other half of my audience comes here for the Age content, I'm not going to get a consistent viewer base, and it's not really going to be, if anything, it's only going to be slightly increasing my view count, because all of the people who might look at the other thing because they're curious, but it really does not do anything for me. And it kind of breaks the mold that's been set by so many people before. And I hate to do it, but I'm not sure how much I'm willing to keep up my pace with other games that I'm doing for the channel. I mean, I'd totally be down to keep on doing them because they're fun and they're great and I like them, and since when the hell has there ever been any problem with people liking games? But I'm just not sure how comfortable I feel doing content for those other games, especially given that two other games that I have played for this channel in the past are kind of concerned for their well-being, if you will. So, that's my rant about not this. This is not what you came for, I understand that, and I'm sorry if I interrupted what you came here for. And also, I'm sorry about the audio quality here. It's bad. I say as the video quality is also cutting out big time. So, what makes Turkish scout rushes so powerful then, if they don't have an eco bonus? Well, it's simple. The Turks got a new civ bonus in the last patch that gives their scout line +1 pierce armor. Now, that normally doesn't sound that bad, but if you think about it, it's absolutely terrible. You see, you have scout cavalry that can hit 4 pierce armor in any extended field situation. How bad is 4 pierce armor, you ask? Feudal archers do 1 damage per shot, and well, that kind of puts it in that scout cavalry really do counter archers in a game that's built around a lot of counters being situational, like how a large number of crossbows counter a small number of knights in early castle age. This is the exact same principle that I'm trying my that these people are trying their darndest to apply. But this new Turkish Scout Cavalry bonus really does not do anything to enforce that idea. You have a unit that will effectively counter the entire rest of the feudal age composition except for a single unit that's designed as an explicit counter. I'm not sure. And nobody opens spearmen anyway. So the only way that you can counter Turk scout rushes is either you need to out-scrush them, which is what I'm going to be doing in one of the games that I'm showing you, or you need to mass an equally obscene number of spearmen. And to be fair, that's what the AIs do extremely well, but human players really do not do that. Well, and for good reason, because normally scouts are immediately followed up by archers, as are the vast majority of builds. You got rush into archers, you got men-at-arms into archers, you got scouts into archers, you got archers into more archers. There really is not a wide variety of builds that end on anything other than archers, or what they started on. Or you can have like even more situational things like the Korean Archer Tower build that I was working on prior to realizing that this would be a much more interesting video topic. But there's a lot of archer stuff, and in most cases there is no real way to deal with Turkish scout cavalry without using spearmen because, well, your archers just don't work anymore.
Evet. Usta. Çiftçi.
65 HP and 4 pierce armor means that a scout cavalry takes 65 arrows to kill. There's no other stable unit in the game with that sort of ability to tank arrows. It's always the situational which unit counters the other unit
Hazır.
thing that you get with archers and knights. And that just does not happen here. And going all in feudal with the Turks with, well, scouts and then adding in archers to counter the spearmen that you're basically going to receive, you have no answer to this other than either mirroring his army comp, which he's going to win because your scouts beat his archers, but his scouts beat your archers. His scouts beat your archers, but your archers don't beat his scouts. Or you could just go all in trash, which doesn't work either because your ranged unit counters his melee. I mean, obviously there's go up to Castle Age and make knights or make crossbowmen, but in this new meta with the massive wall nerfs that just happened, like hell that's ever gonna happen. It is not going to happen. Simple as that.
Evet, usta. Efendim? Oduncu, usta, oduncu. Evet, tamam. Yaparım.
So there's going to be a slight cut in audio right here because I had to pause and unpause this game because the doctor's office called, and well, that's kind of important. It's like a really important thing that I have to be dealing with in real life. And granted, it wasn't anything that specifically pertains to me, but it was a thing I needed to worry about, and it's not something that I can reasonably control in the scope of this video. So what you might notice me doing with my farms is that I'm taking villagers, for the most part, I'm taking them off of farms to build houses, and that's just because of how farms work. The farms automatically generate food, and if the farm generating food is the bottleneck, I need to get into the habit of taking the villagers off of farms so that the farms can do their own little farm generation thing, and then give the villagers the super buffed gather rate on the back end. It's really just a habit that I'm getting into. It's not really something that pertains super strong to the early game. But, well, it's one of those little things that can make an impact, which is why I'm learning to do it, because I gotta build those houses with some villagers. Might as well be the villagers that I actually get something out of using. But yes, at this point I am completely all in feudal. I'm getting all of my blacksmith upgrades. I have scout cavalry with 4 pierce armor, which means they are nearly impervious to archer fire. I have archers that I'm getting fletching for right now. And I'm just continuing to put units onto the battlefield. I don't care where they're being put. Well, I mean, I do, but the big thing is that I have units on the battlefield, and I'm actively denying my opponent's attempts to do the same. As long as I have more army than he does, I'm completely guaranteed to win any given engagement. No matter what the opponent's feudal army composition is, if I have the Turk scouts that counter everything except spearmen, and archers that counter everything except skirmishers, I just need to know when to retreat one or both of my unit types. I need to retreat my scouts when I see spears and let archers mop them up, and I need to retreat my archers when I see skirms and let my scouts mop them up. And as long as I do that, and, well, also keep the pressure on, there's literally nothing my opponent can do to stop me. Except, make sure it gets stopped before it gets started, which is one of the things that I'm going to be showing you later. The two other games I want to show you actually happened before I recorded this, because that was before I realized how ridiculously overpowered Turkish scouts were. And it's like, I just played a couple of ranked games, because I really wanted to try out my new Korean build. Then, of course, I had the audacity to go archers into Turks. And I got absolutely bodied for it. And I'm like, okay, that's not gonna work. Which meant, well, obviously, that I had to go into something else. So, the second game that I played there would be me trying to outscrush and successfully outscrushing the Turks, which, to be fair, isn't that hard to do. Like I said at the beginning, the Turks don't have any eco bonuses that benefit their scrush. It's all the military bonus that makes their scouts impervious to archer fire. But it's still something that needs to happen at the execution level. If you have a 20 pop scrush build, that's great. I have a 19 pop scrush build that I can do as a generic civ. You have a 17 pop scrush build that you can only execute as Mongols. Well, guess what? For the next couple of days, you're going to be having to play exclusively Mongols, because there are 6,900 Turk stands out there who are pretty much climbing the ladder because this strategy is ridiculously overpowered. Granted, that number is just an estimate based on my prior experience in the ranked ladder so far this patch, but it's a big thing to notice. You pretty much have to go for a civ that can outscrush the Turks, and also hold their own in an extended feudal situation. That pretty much disqualifies civs like the Britons, who have a very fast scout rush, but really do not want to be overdoing scouts in feudal because of their lack of bloodlines. Which means that their scouts lose in the straight melee to Turkish scouts, and if they try to make spearmen, the Turkish player just has archers, which, if I remember correctly, go all the way up to fully upgraded arbs in imp anyway. Isn't this fun? Isn't this the sort of thing that you'd see figures like the Smithing Grit make a video out of? I can already hear his voice, and it's like he's big enough, I think, that you either already know who he is, so I'm not even going to go on that tangent, but this really does feel like something that Spiff would make a video on. That's just how big and powerful this Turk feudal is. And it really feels weird to say that the Turkish feudal is strong. Turks are not a feudal civ. They've never been a feudal civ until literally this patch. And my concern, in general, really, with what Forgotten Empires has been doing is that nothing is overpowered because everything is overpowered is not a good motto to live by. This is what happened to Rise of Nations. You get in Rise of Nations, you get civs like the Dutch. You can literally commit genocide on their entire eco and still have absolutely maxed out income with which they can use to pump out units. It's somehow even worse than the Bantu, who literally get a 25% bonus to their population cap. In Age of Empires, the biggest bonus to the population cap is the Golf 10, and that's literally the only one in the game, and also not to mention the fact that Rise of Nations also has the Colossus Wonder, which is another 25% bonus.
Usta.
You could have the Bantu, a civ with a population limit of 325, going up against the Dutch, who can put in all 220 of their population space into units. It's kind of Battle of the Titans here. It just feels like everything is ridiculously overpowered with Rise of Nations, and that's not the direction I want to see Age of Empires going in. So at this point, the game is obviously won. I'm in Castle Age. I'm literally throwing my light cavalry under the sea because I, for some reason, think I'm playing Burmese right now. And I have a massive crossbows, and I'm still constantly pumping out units, and I'm
Hazır.
pretty much ready to do everything, and he just calls it, because that's what the AI does. Yet, an actual human player would have called this game a long time ago. This is just because the AI is so bad at knowing when to resign. And, quite frankly, the only thing that I see countering this strategy is having an even more obscenely fast scout rush than this. If you can't outmass the Turk player with scouts, you are going to lose. You are going to lose to their ridiculously overpowered scout cavalry that get followed up by admittedly generic archers. But the strength of their archers doesn't matter because your archers don't counter his scouts anymore. Even in massive engagements, it still takes 65 arrows to take out a Turkish scout. That just doesn't happen. So the next couple of games I'm going to be showing you are replays of actual ranked games that I played against Turkstans. And the first one, I'm going to say it right here, and I've already said it, I'm going to get absolutely bodied. I have never showed I've never showed a game on this channel before that I've lost. And, well, that's something that really needs to change, and that's something that is going to change right now with this unnecessarily abrupt transition. Hello, it's Karen Rime here. In this video, we are going to be discussing probably one of the best changes to civilizations in this new update, and that is the Korean Archer Rush. You see, the Koreans got a new civ bonus this patch where they get archer armor upgrades for free, which to me essentially feels like that the Koreans are the anti-archer civ. So in this video, I'm going to be doing some discussion about how to execute Korean archers and why Korean archers are so powerful. Now, I'm just going to skip forward through the build, because the build is the same as a generic archer rush. The Koreans don't have any civ bonuses that benefit the speed of their archer rush. It's just a civ bonus that benefits the effect of their archer rush. Then once we get through that, we are going to see some Korean archer rushes in action, and, well, I think that's going to be great. Haha, just kidding, I get absolutely bodied this game like I've already said several times. Now, granted, I was actually going to use the video I released today for Korean archer rushes, but, well, the Turkstans in the chat decided that was not going to happen. And, well, I respect that there's a strategy out there, but until the Turk hype calms down, or until the Turk stands realize that they're getting countered by strategies like this, I don't feel comfortable going anything other than Khmer on Arabia. Until the Turks stands stop, I don't feel comfortable going any civ other than Khmer on Arabia, because I know I can out-scrush the Turks' Khmer. So, I'm just going to fast forward through all of this accidentally when I'm filming it and never bother to unfast forward it, but basically, this is me and the Koreans who had the audacity to go archers into a Turkish scrush. And pair this with me being generally incompetent with archers, and you get a very bad time. And I don't understand at this point why my archers aren't doing so hot. I mean, I understand that he's got a larger mass of units, but I have fletching. I have fletching. He doesn't have any upgrades. I should be doing a number on his scout cavalry. What's not happening? Because I'm a dum-dum and I didn't look at all of the bonuses that happened to this patch, and I didn't realize that the Turks suddenly became ridiculously overpowered. And then just put that on top of the fact that I really was not on my A game this game, and you can obviously see that I had a bad time. And it was absolutely miserable, and I did not play this well, and I got played by ridiculously overpowered strategy, and I'm not saying that it's ridiculously overpowered because I'm salty I lost. I'm saying it's ridiculously overpowered as someone who can do this, as someone who can beat this, as someone who might actually start doing this in ranked, if not for the fact that, well, I'd just be copying all 6,900 other Turk stands. I legitimately believe that this strategy is currently overpowered, and that it desperately requires a nerf, either in a hot fix or in a brand new patch. And this guy is in such a strong villager lead that he's happy to throw his villagers away to try to repair that house that I would have towered by now, if not for the fact that I have 10 scouts in my base. 10 scouts with bloodlines and armor. And so any archers that I send in are doing 1 damage per shot. And any spearmen that I send take 5 hits to kill them. And unless I can put down a second barracks and make sure that my spear production is coming out completely constantly, there's literally nothing I can do. He even also has already started adding in archers, and while his archers aren't as strong as mine, that doesn't matter. His scouts are much stronger than mine, and the archers really are only there because he has to deal with my spearmen. And that was a bad engagement for him to take because he didn't realize that I don't know if he didn't realize that I had a couple of spearmen there, or if he straight up just wasn't looking at those scouts, but that doesn't matter. He's playing Turks. He's got massive army of scouts. He's got a bunch of archers to back that up. His army composition hard counters my army composition. Now, I'm just gonna go ahead and fast forward through this because it's game over. I've already lost. I don't realize it yet. I've already lost. And I'm just having scouts running through my base. Again, I can take out one of his stables, but he has another stable, and he's got the ranges, and he's got a defensive tower on his gold that I spend way too much time trying to take down. I mean, and also walls, but that's not the focus of this video. And while I think they're shitty, and I think they're bad, and I think they're gross, and I'm glad they got nerfed, that's not my concern. My concern is not the walls, my concern is scouts and archers. Not accounting for the walls, I got genuinely outplayed. Because I did not realize how big the Turks have been buffed this game. And well, I suffered for it. And he's already going up to castle. I'm nowhere near castle.
Hazır.
In the second game, I'm like, oh shit, Turkish scout rushes are happening. I really need to be able to outscratch these people, since apparently this is going to be such a ridiculously overpowered strategy. And, I mean, at this point, I just wanted my 16 elo back. And so I was going to go with a scout rushing civ that I was comfortable with in the Khmer, and just roll with it. And my goal simply is to outscratch the Turks. So if I can get scouts out faster, and I can get more scouts out, I'm in a good position. But if he outscratches me, that's it, that's game over. And I can't open archers, because opening archers into Turks is suicide. As we established last game. Khmer are very strong and versatile civ. They got nerfed, which is why this video is not about elephant rushing. I was really hoping to do a follow-up to my old elephant rush video, because that was like one of the first videos that I put out on this channel, and a lot has changed between my understanding of the theory and my ability to execute the build. And I was really hoping at some point to do some follow-up content to that, and I still am hoping to do some follow-up content to that, but elephant rushing got nerfed into oblivion. Battle elephants do much less bonus damage against buildings. And also note that the Turkish Scout Cavalry Pierce Armor bonus applies in Dark Age, so if he runs a Scout Cavalry under the TC like I just did, well, I sort of just did, his Scout is still tankier. But as I was saying about elephant rushing, it's been nerfed to the ground. Between that, the fact that Khmer farmers are now even slower than they were before, and the fact that the Khmer elephants also are slightly slower. They got their speed bonus reduced from plus 15% to plus 10%, which means that they no longer outrun archers in before husbandry. Which is kind of sad, but since you really would kite them anyway, with that civ bonus or not, it's not really something that I was personally horrified by, but it was certainly a thing that happened, and it's on top of all the other nerfs to elephant rushing that happened this patch. And I'm probably going to do a video on it because it's the first strategy that I ever executed. It was the first build order that I ever did. And I do all of my own build orders. I might make a build order identical to what someone else has done, but the only time I've ever competitively done a build order that I did not make for myself was that one time I tried the Malay Elephant Rush. Not a fan, way too slow. I prefer Khmer elephants because they come out better. Because the rush is much faster and I personally think Khmer have a much better follow-up. So I'm just going to add double ranges to my scout cavalry like the Turks stands should be doing. The archers are for countering the spearmen that I'm naturally going to encounter and really already have encountered. And it's just gonna go from there. I don't realize at this point that he's adding in archers. But the difference is that his archers actually can counter my scout cavalry. My archers don't counter his scout cavalry. And this is a point that I really do want to hammer home. His scouts counter my archers because he's playing Turks. And his scouts have the pierce armor to be able to survive those archer hits. And you have things like the Turkish light cavalry powerspike. And granted, the Turkish light cavalry powerspike isn't really big. It's a lot smaller than the powerspikes that archers get. It's a lot smaller than the powerspikes that eagles get. It's even somehow worse than the fact that you have to start massing knights the moment you hit castle. But you know what? The Turkish light cavalry powerspike is bigger than the powerspike of a bunch of dead archers. The Turkish light cavalry powerspike is bigger than the powerspike of a bunch of dead eagles. I don't care how big the powerspike that your feudal unit gets. It doesn't matter if your feudal unit is dead. Turkish light cav powerspike harder than a bunch of dead archers. Turkish light cav powerspike harder than a bunch of dead eagles. So I don't care that scout cavalry don't have a very big powerspike into light cavalry. It's bigger than what your opponent's going to get when you're using this strategy. So yeah, I'm gonna trash talk this guy a little bit for using walls because because of my personal distaste of the wall meta. And like I said earlier, I'm glad that it got nerfed this patch, but that has not been the big thing I've been concerned about this patch. The big thing I'm concerned about this patch is the power of the Turks. And the fact that you have a civ like the Turks who will happily out-scout rush you, who will absolutely wipe you if you can't out-scout rush them, and have such strong follow-up to their scouts and archers that there's literally no way in feudal age to counter what I'm going to go out on a limb and call a death ball. The Turkish feudal death ball is all you need. But the late game gunpowder civ, I don't give a fuck. They can end the game right here in feudal age. I appreciate the idea, but no. Turks are feudal age civ. They are the meta civ. And until word of how to counter Turk scout rushes like this gets out, that you absolutely must outscrush the Turks, or there is no way that you will ever recover against an equally skilled player. I'm just going to let the rest of this game play out, because that's all the discussion that I have for you, and then we can look at the statistics after the game. So please do let me know if you enjoyed the video. Please do let me know if you want me to do more videos on some of the strategies, especially some of the buff strategies after this patch. Like, Bulgarians are the reason why I'm learning how to drush right now. So please let me know in the comments if you want to see more of this. Please let me know if you want to see me do an Among Us video. Please let me know a lot of things, because I want to know. And just go through the generic YouTuber spiel, like, subscribe, etc., etc. And I hope to see you next video.
Dia banjir, bat. Dia banjir. No berani. Emret. Ba, no berani. Ba. Dia banjir, no berani.